everyone, I am the Book Guy, and this is the Book Gal, my amazing wife Kit, and this is our cat, Nynaeve, who just refused to leave when we were setting up. The audacity. Anyway, so guys, today we've got a special video. We're just going to have a friendly chat. We're going to do a bit of a Kickstarter wrap-up, because the book launch for the Immortal Investigations wrapped up just a few weeks ago. The cards have been charged. The money has been paid. The production has begun. Which is really exciting. So we're going to talk about Kickstarter and all the things involved in that. Then we're going to do a little bit of a channel update for me, what videos are coming next, what we're going to do for 2025. And finally, we're going to have a bit of a Q&A session with some pre-written questions, which I will look up on a device.
It's totally fine.
All my devices are occupied for this.
Give me 1 second, because I've just realised I've forgotten to do something.
What have you done? So, Nynaeve, how are you? Before we get into the specifics of the Kickstarter, I actually just want to start by just saying a huge thank you to everyone who actually participated and pledged. We had 358 backers.
355.
355.
At last count, yeah.
I looked this morning, I thought it was 358. Or maybe I just remember, I don't know. That's incredible. That's just like dream come true kind of stuff, you know, real fairy tale magic. For me, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, guys, for the faith you've shown. These books really are going to be fantastic. You're going to have a great time. Lots of fun, lots of mystery, lots of plot twists. It's going to be a great time. But thank you so much.
I'm totally biased, but they may be the best books ever written in existence. So I cannot possibly overhype them enough.
Even Nynaeve's excited.
I feel like this is going to go badly.
No, it's okay. So, Kit, let's get into the specifics of it. So, the final tally was about 27,000, right? What does that mean? Is that a good achievement? Is that a bad achievement?
It's all right. No, it's really good. So I have got the numbers. I went and double-checked just now. So our current tally is $27,882 Australian.
Nice.
Which is fantastic. I think my estimate of where it was going to land was between 25 and 30 grand. So we're pretty much spot on to what we had hopeful expectations for.
Yep.
Obviously, with something like Kickstarter, there's always the chance that it's going to go mega viral and make like hundreds of thousands of dollars. That has happened to me once before, which was amazing, but can't happen every single time because it's basically like winning the lottery.
Yes.
And yeah, it totally matched up with, I think, what our positive hopes were for how it was going to go. And yeah, 355 subscribers is fantastic. Pledges, backers, customers. 355 people is fantastic considering the audience amount that you have.
Yes. Yeah, because I think when we launched it, I had about 15,000 subscribers.
You did. I actually crunched the numbers on this if you want.
Oh yeah, go.
So assuming that you had about 16,000, I think, when we launched, that is 355 backers is 2.2% of your audience.
Nice.
Came through.
Nice.
Now, in an industry like this, when you're doing sort of online launches, you would typically expect to have between 1% and 2% of your audience number actually come through to do the final purchasing. So the fact that you've gotten a little bit over 2% of what your audience was is phenomenal. And I think really speaks to the quality of your viewers and how amazing they are and supportive and just wonderful human beings. And I did just want to say from a business perspective, the higher your audience gets, the more that conversion number is likely to drop.
Yes.
And so I ran a comparison on Daniel Green's latest Kickstarter for the Neon Ghost Book 1.
Are you about to put us in competition with each other? Because I feel like that's bad form.
No.
Like, Daniel Green sucks.
No,
Hate that guy.
Daniel's our friend. He's lovely. Anyway, sorry. Daniel, if you're watching, I'm not being mean to you. But no, it's a comparison because Daniel has a much larger audience at over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. But on his latest Kickstarter for the Neon Ghosts book, he had 4.2 thousand backers, which is less than 1% of his YouTube audience, which is still completely like within the realms of what's like reasonable and normal as a benchmark when you are an influencer or have an audience that you're trying to get over to buy something. But it's an example of how him with his larger audience, the percentage comes down a bit lower just because that's how things work. Yeah.
You're so smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nani, what you doing? Oi, over here. Oh, yes, I love you too. Let me try. Can I have my coffee? Okay. I will just say that everything took just a little bit longer in the writing side of things. And I was under a bit of a pressure to get that deadline. It was a big one. One of the reasons why my videos haven't been consistent and I haven't been doing weekly videos as much as I'd like is because I've had to prioritize getting these books done and had to go through extra drafts, extra edits, but doesn't really matter too much. The point is, they should be done on time now, and I'm never going to do 3 books in a year again because it's far too much work. And oh my goodness, I'm ready for this one to be over with.
So in terms of the fulfillment side of things, we are expecting all 3 books to be totally finished and polished and be getting sent out to you mid-December, if not early December. And then depending on how close the shipping centers are to you and the craziness of shipping over the Christmas period, which often has delays, they should get to you hopefully by the end of the year, but if not, very early in January. Yeah. The dates on the Kickstarter for people who are receiving the physical books do say that fulfillment is planned for in January. Yeah. So if you're lucky, you'll get them before then, but if not, you will be able to enjoy them very soon either way.
Exactly. Not to mention the ebook, they'll basically be sent to you,
your
almost immediately.
Ebooks will be pretty much instantaneous.
Yeah.
You'll get the link to open them up in the Book Funnel app and it'll go from there. And if anybody has any technical concerns about how to use that app, it is really user-friendly, but you can always message us and we'll help talk you through it.
Good. Now, the other 2 big options, there was the box set and merch box option, and then there's the audiobook option.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us more about the box set? Because Kit is really the production genius here, who has facilitated most of it. Nynaeve, concentrate, man. Where is your professionalism?
Be professional.
Why are you molting so much?
Just hair everywhere.
I just gave her a brush and a wipe down yesterday. She hated me for it.
Oh, now that I'm the center of attention, you want to be over here, do you?
Get over here. Wait, no, not on the blazer. Okay, do your thing. Box sets.
What am I talking about? Box sets.
Yes. The box sets and the merch box sort of thing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, there is so much fur just flying around. Get out of here.
Yes.
Shoot your vermin.
So the box sets are going to be a trilogy in a box, obviously, sort of like this.
It's behind me, isn't it?
So you're going to have a nice box to go around it in case the books can keep them safe, and the books will be signed by the author.
There'll also be paperback. That was a common question we got a little bit at the start. I just want to re-clarify that. The box set is only for paperback, and that's because of that Australian international shipping thing. Hardbacks just massively rose the price up. We might consider that down the track later on, but for now, just paperback box sets. Go.
Yeah, it's one of those things from a fulfillment perspective. If we had, say, 1,000 backers who were only getting hardcovers, then it would make sense for us to work with a fulfillment center that was international who would send it out to you rather than it having to come to us in Australia and then go out to you. That just would have made more sense logistically. But with only 355 backers and so many people purchasing the ebooks, which was the most popular format that people were getting, so it just doesn't make logistical sense to do hardcovers that are signed and special editions at this stage. It is something that we would love to do in the future if the series really kicks off. We've mentioned before, I'm a book cover designer and I would love to design some really nice special edition covers for this series because I could make them look so good.
She really could. She's so talented.
Dream job.
It's crazy.
It's basically why I married an author, just so I could design your covers one day. No, I wasn't a cover designer when we met, so that doesn't count.
I thought you said you liked me for my body.
I should have laughed at that. So essentially what has to happen is the signed books have to be printed and sent to us and he will physically sign them. The box set is being manufactured separately, so we've got to order proofs of each of the books to make sure that we've got the spine widths perfect so that they fit in the box perfectly. And yeah, then we'll go from there. And then as far as the merch box goes, we've got plans for so many cool things that are going in this box. Some of them are going to be general bookish and some of them are going to be specific to the series. So when it comes to the audiobooks, are you comfortable with me sharing the numbers that we've got to work with?
Yeah. Just full disclosure, everyone.
Yeah. We just want to be really open about honestly, frankly, all the numbers and the behind the scenes of the money stuff, because I think a lot of businesses tend to gatekeep this information and it just doesn't help anybody. And I am all for, in any of my businesses, I'm happy to share manufacturers, processes, like numbers, anything, because it doesn't benefit anybody to hide that stuff.
And when the businesses hide that sort of stuff, it's because they're trying to make themselves look super smart and unknowable, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, different issue. Please continue.
Yeah.
So what are the numbers? What do we do with the audiobooks? How many audiobook backers did we get?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I haven't got that written down.
Okay, what number do you have?
The numbers that I've got is that I want to talk through the fact that the Kickstarter total ended up being just shy of 28,000.
Yes.
This is all Australian dollars. So just shy of 28,000. What actually hit our bank account, I think, was just under 24,000 after Kickstarter takes all of their fees out and the payment processing fees. Something around like $5,000 of that is also the shipping costs that you all paid. So obviously we don't get any profit in the shipping. That's just what it costs to post it. And then you've got the actual manufacturing of everything that comes out of that. Based on the rough profit margins that I've worked out for all of the items, again, it's really tricky because I'm trying to convert it to Australian dollars and most of our manufacturers work in US dollars. Anyway, we should have, at the end of all the manufacturing of everything being paid for, we've got roughly 12 to 15,000 Australian left over as our profit, which is what is paying for the audiobook production. So we're not actually keeping that profit for ourselves. It's being reinvested into the audiobooks to make sure that those are getting made and going out. So we're in the process of finalizing who we're going to be working with to get those audiobooks done. I mean, it's going to come to roughly $5,000 per book, which is fairly reasonable for books of the size that you've got, and to get a good quality narrator, even though they're not, you know, the famous, super famous, amazing narrator we would have loved in our dreams to work with. Do you want to tell people who that is?
I was waiting for a chance to jump in there. You just kept going. That was amazing.
Sorry,
no, not a criticism. You're so smart. You know so much stuff.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed by you all the time.
Yeah, I know a few people have been curious because you've mentioned the famous narrator you wanted to work with.
Yes. My first choice was going to be Rupert Dagus. So he is famous for doing The Name of the Wind in the Kingkiller Chronicles and Skullduggery Pleasant. That's his big one, because Skullduggery is a very similar, urban fantasy, very magic-heavy story to the Immortal Investigations. But the big thing that I liked about Rupert is he's got voices. He's got a huge vocal range of accents and dialects and voices that he can do. Because my books are very character-focused and there's a lot of side characters from different demographics, I wanted someone who could actually do the voices for all of them. We don't have Rupert Dagus. That's okay. He was like top of the price range, That's okay. But
understandably so, because he's amazing. Like he's not overcharging.
Yeah. Not at all. But we can still get really good narrators. I think there's a certain point where your narrator can charge for the fame that they bring to your product. And that's what a lot of the big ones do. It's not necessarily the better quality as so much as it is the awareness of it as well. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go with Rupert Dagus, because it would help introduce my books to a wider audience as well. His established audience, So that was the thought. So we are still narrowing down who the current narrator will be. We can't announce that one just yet. We've still got some options going. But one other thing I wanted to say, when Kit was saying that we had about $12,000 to $15,000 profit from the Kickstarter and everything, and that's going into the audiobooks, which is wonderful. We're really happy about that. I want to reassure, because I think some people might be like, oh, so you didn't actually make any money from this. I'm like, not exactly, but that's the point. The point of it... Oh, hello, Nynaeve. Welcome back. The point of a Kickstarter is not to make a profit. The point of a Kickstarter is to kickstart a business or a product. And once it exists, then it starts generating profit and revenue stream. Not even... What? Sit. Settle. You just whack the microphone.
What's the passive-aggressive tail flick?
So detecting high levels of sass. Okay. But yeah, so the point is that once this Kickstarter is fulfilled, I think it'll be in January that we will officially make these books available for purchase. Thank you. And that's the point where we'll start making a profit. And that's the best part. Because I'm so excited to have audiobooks out, to have, the printing press, Ingram Spark, distributing these books. I just want to emphasize that even though we don't have a huge profit margin from the Kickstarter, it's still a really good thing. this is a massive step up and level up moment for me, for us, for the channel, for the whole book community of self-publishing.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. This is definitely a big win. That's how I'm seeing it.
As you said in a lot of your videos promoting the Kickstarter, the real purpose was to fund the audiobooks.
Yes.
Because audiobooks are really important to us in terms of accessibility, but also the way that the audiobook market is growing compared to how ebooks and physical books are sometimes not growing as much. Economically, from a business perspective, it just makes sense. But I think more importantly to us, it's an accessibility issue, and we really want to make sure that it's available in that format for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think we've mentioned it in this chat, so I'll just re-mention it now. But we spent a bit of money of our own before the Kickstarter even launched. That was on book covers and editing and...
I think that's it.
That's it.
Copious amounts of coffee. Therapy. We're so funny.
We are really funny. Okay, well, let's keep going. So what did we spend before we even got into the Kickstarter? So the big one is book covers. So let's just talk about that for a second. So you guys have seen the book covers, which I'm sure I'll put on screen at some point. So we've talked about how Kit is a graphic designer and she's done book cover design. Kit did not make these book covers herself, but she was like a production manager. You know, she came up with the concept and the idea, and then she hired an artist to make it. Someone who had the relevant artistic skills to do the picture that we thought would suit best. Because Kit could do a good, an illustration of
Actually,
people.
there's one of mine there.
Which one? Yeah, so Kit designed this book cover for a romance novel. This novel actually went
viral
it did.
in Germany.
Yeah, in Germany. Duh.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. Anyway, look, went viral in Germany, but Kit designed the cover. So see how it's like illustrated figures? You know, people, very common in like romance novels. So Kit could have done that, but it wouldn't have suited my books because it's urban fantasy, right? Right, I'll put that one back.
I'm actually planning in the future, we want to do a video, our Dear Indie Authors video, kind of talking about a little bit of advice on things. And I do want to do a segment on choosing your type of cover, how to find an artist, the importance of the cover in your work. I mean, I could rant about this for 20 minutes, but we'll do that in a different video. Because I think that there's a lot of indie authors I see who fall into the trap of not having a cover that is appropriate for their series, and it just does so much damage to the success of the book. So we'll talk about that more another time.
Yes. But for now, how much did we spend on our 3 book covers?
Yep, so we got 3 book covers through MIBL Art. We'll put the name on the screen or something. They were really fantastic to work with. I do genuinely really recommend them for indie authors because I think they're quite affordable, and the range of cover styles that they can do is impressive.
Yes. And they just look so cool.
They look really cool. They've got some phenomenal fantasy covers.
Like, I'm not a graphic designer. I don't get the nuances of it, but I see a book cover and I'm like, damn, I want to read that. And looking through their website and their portfolio, I was like, half of these look incredible. Yeah. And that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly. So we spent, for the 3 covers, it came to about $1,300 Australian, or about $850 US. That's, I think when you order 3 covers in one go, you get a little bit of a discount. So, yes. I mean, you can look at that on their website. But it was a really fantastic experience. As Michael said, I did the sort of creative directing. I knew what concept I wanted, and then through the first draft it was already like 80% there, and then we just had to tweak a couple of things to get it looking perfect. And we're really happy with the covers, and we've gotten so many compliments on them from you guys, so thank you so much for that. Really appreciate the feedback and hearing that from you. And in case it wasn't obvious, the plan is, as the series continues, to have a full rainbow of colors in the cover. Just because it's something I've always wanted to do, and I really love working on covers in a series and making it cohesive and making sure that they've all got like the spines, everything on the spines line up perfectly when you put them next to each other. It's just, it's a thing for me. Anyway. Yep.
You sure the rainbow's not because we're queer coding the books? They're secretly woke.
It's not a secret, babe.
I know, right? But no, it's a good point actually. So one thing I want to take some credit for it. Okay, so like Kit did facilitate the full design. I did pick the 3 objects.
Yes.
As the author, I was like, I really want those objects, and it was my call to make sure there was a little bit of blood on all 3 of the objects. So, like, obviously the goblet, the chalice has blood in it, but then the sword and the crown had to have the drop. Mm-hmm. And I'm especially proud of that because I thought it's thematically linking them together.
Yeah.
But everything else, the color scheme, the titles, the swirl effects of everything, that was all Kit's idea. And then the artist made it happen.
Yeah. They did a phenomenal job.
They
Very
really
happy
did.
with it.
Yeah.
And for as a book cover designer, the quality of the covers we got for what we spent was really great value for money.
Oh, and can I also brag? Just for anyone curious, we looked at a whole bunch of book covers trying to find the right type of cover for ours. The one that really came through was the Cradle series by Will White. I don't actually I did them all by ebook.
Oh, okay. We don't have physical copies of those. We'll put them on the screen.
Yeah, that's...
Right in front of your face.
Mike Wazowski. I'm on the cover of a magazine. Sorry. But if you look at those, the covers for them, they're all an icon. An icon and a color scheme in the background. And that was the real thing that really, that's what we want to do. Pick an object from each of the books.
Yeah. Object-based books is one of the 4 different styles of cover design that you can do, which again, I'll cover in a longer rant in a different video.
But let's go. What was your other one?
The editors.
Editing.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So Michael ended up having to work with 2 different editors because our wonderful first editor went on maternity leave, which was great for her, but sucked for us.
Yeah. It was a bit rough.
Yeah, but it does mean that you got the experience of working with 2 different types of editors, and we, kind of got to compare, which was great. So, and both of them are lovely. No hate to either of them. Yeah. You're both great. Thank you if you're watching this. But all up for across the 3 books, it ended up costing 3,300 Australian for the developmental edit. Is that technically the term?
Yes. So just in case you don't know, there are 3 types of edits. There's developmental, which is the big one, big structural edits. Like this chapter didn't work, this character arc didn't work, the big picture stuff. Then you have line edit, line by line, making sure the language is tight and clear. That's very, minor keystrokes. So when you hire someone to do big structure stuff, they won't go through line by line. Well, or they shouldn't. Or if they do, they'll be like, this line was so terrible, I couldn't help it. Cut it out,
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you have your third one, which is proofreading, which is just checking for typos and, for using the correct tense, that sort of thing. It's actually crazy to me how many indie authors I've seen who literally only do the proofreading, and you need to hire an expert to look at those big 2 things because they see things you don't. One of the big things sorry, I'm just ranting now, but one of the big things working with a line editor is they will highlight a line and be like, I'm not sure what you're trying to communicate here. And I'll be like, you must be a moron because that's such an obvious, oh wait, maybe it's not obvious, and that's the phenomenon over and over again. When you're writing and communicating purely by words and not by tone of voice, you can't always be absolutely certain you've conveyed what you mean to. So you need an editor to catch those things. And I'm just going to say it over and over again. Please continue.
And while I totally understand that, this is, for a lot of indie authors, you've got 0 money.
Yeah.
Look, again, this is something that we will talk more about in the Dear Indie Authors video when we get around to it. But there's steps that you cannot skip.
Yes.
And I think it's detrimental to you and the trust with your readers and your readers' experience if you skip those things. But yeah, I think that was it for Kickstarter stuff and the numbers of everything behind the scenes. If you do have other questions about...
Just keep talking. She's going to use all that film.
If you do have other questions about behind-the-scenes stuff, how processes worked, how much things cost, all that kind of thing, more than happy for you to comment on the video or message us to ask. We're pretty open books.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Sharing that kind of information, especially with other small business owners. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I've got my email in the description for my videos. I do take business inquiries if you've got questions, all right?
Yep.
I'm slow to respond to emails, but you can still email them.
You can also get a hold of me on Instagram if you go find Cronks on Instagram. That's my account. And you actually have an Instagram now. Don't message him, though, because he won't see it.
It's true. I've got an Instagram, Cronk the Book Guy.
We finally got him on social media. I know many of you have been asking where you can follow him. And some of you already found him on Instagram, which is really impressive.
Well, this is the thing, because people started just finding my regular account and adding me, so I'm like, fine, I better legitimize this. It's got all these pictures of, like, my driveway. And...
That's true. And the fence down the side of the house.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a little bit random, but, you know, you can follow me if you want, and I'll try to get better at social media. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So what's next? So some channel updates.
Yeah, dude, tell him what's coming.
Okay.
So many awesome things. Get hyped.
Oh, man, so many awesome things. Okay, so first of all, actually, it's right here. Fine. Okay. First one, I was meant to do a video on this in October, but I had to prioritize getting the book done. But Way of Eden is my next video, which I'm just so excited to finally cover. Let's put that there. In December, because we got Stormlight Archive, Wind and Truth coming out, I'm going to do some Stormlight content, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be Words of Radiance, why it's the best, and then Rhythm of War, why it's the worst. Sort of just explore those two books in particular, not to call one the best and one the worst, really, but to actually explore why a lot of people consider Words of Radiance the best and why some people like Rhythm of War the least. You know, I think they'll be really exciting because I've done a reread of them in preparation just to flex that out. But at the moment, we're looking like we're going to go back to monthly themes, and the big thing is we're going to do weekly videos again. Because I've had to have so many weeks where I just didn't do a video because getting these books done just kept taking a little bit longer than I thought, and I really want to prioritize weekly videos. I've got a backlog of all these books I've read and haven't done videos on. I've got more books read than I've covered. It's crazy. I've got like 6 months worth of content ready, even if I did weekly videos. It's wild. I did not think I was going to have this problem as a booktuber.
I find that so funny, though, because that's what it was like when you started this channel.
True.
You had about 2 years worth of backlog because you'd been working deliberately on reading really long series to learn from them, and so that you could tell people if they were worth reading or not, like committing the time to.
Yep.
And then, yeah, it's happened. And I think a couple of months ago you were freaking out that you hadn't read enough books, and you were like, I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about on the channel. And boom.
I never said that. But no, I know your point, yes. So what we're thinking is I've got a bunch of young adult stuff. I'm thinking January, again, might be a way to go. I want to finally get back into Malazan and cover the rest of the Malazan universe, because people talk about the Book of the Fallen, but there are so many other books. There's like 25 Malazan books. I want to talk about the rest of them. So might just do a whole month of Malazan May or Malazan February or something like that. We want to cover a bunch of middle grade books. People have been asking for Alcatraz and Skullduggery Pleasant, and a whole bunch of stuff.
Artemis Fowl.
Artemis Fowl, yes.
Nevermore Chronicle. Oh, sorry, the Trials of Morrigan Crow.
Oh,
That's
yes, Morrigan Crow.
of.
I have been reading the entire Percy Jackson franchise. There are 23, 24 Percy Jackson books, and I've read all but the last 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I'm loving Percy Jackson. We're going to do a bunch of Percy Jackson content. So, like, heaps of stuff coming up. We want to try to go back to weekly videos. Another big thing is I want to start trying to do video essays. You guys might remember, but I think it was like in March or April this year, I did a couple videos like Why Adults Don't Read, For the Love of Reading, there was How to Fall in Love with Reading, and Can Books Save the World? Which, can I just say, the video, Can Books Save the World, is literally the best thing I've ever done. It is by far my best video, and I'm so proud of it, and no one watched it.
It's got the least amount of views of any
by far.
video. Which goes to show,
it's okay. That's just
know.
how it happens sometimes. It's fine. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest.
But the Why Adults Don't Read video has gone gangbusters
That's
in the last
been
month.
going great. It got like 10,000 views in the last month alone. I'm so proud of it. It's so good. But yeah, I'd want to start doing more video essays like that about literature, about education, and also about writing. This is something I'm so excited. I'm just going to tell it now. Okay.
I don't know where you're going with this, but okay.
I wanted to start a booktube channel, and one of my ideas was I was going to do videos on how to write difficult topics. And I've been sitting on this idea for nearly 2 years as I make YouTube channel.
You've
YouTube
been talking
content.
about it for over 2 years.
I know,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But I want to about how to write difficult topics. So, like, if you're a writer, often people are like, "Oh, you should represent queer people, or you should talk about mental health." And a writer might be like, "I don't know anything about those topics. How do I do that?" And so I want to make these videos which are how to write difficult topics, depression. And it would be a video essay on what depression actually is. What does it look like? What do doctors say about it? Very heavily researched articles. And then be like, how do you include that in your story in a way that's going to add meaning to the story and add power and compassion to people going through that? And it would be a rather politically sensitive, topic for sure from time to time. But it'd be a great chance to explore world issues, humanitarian issues, all sorts of things like that. And I think this year is the year I want to start including them from time to time. But it would be a bit of an undertaking because I'd want to have like sensitivity readers for the scripts and stuff like that. I'd want to really maybe even call in experts from time to time. If
I was going to say, maybe
things.
some guests who could, who have lived experiences and stuff,
Exactly,
and how to talk about, or even authors who've handled that really well, because I think it's really a skill as an author to have the level of empathy to be able to write about something that you haven't experienced.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
Exactly. So I think too, they are video essays, but they're probably not 20-minute video essays. They're more like, hour-long video essays in some cases, they're meant to be like a definitive guide. But we'll work up to that because it's something that I want to do in my own writing. Like, obviously, I am a cisgendered white man, so how do I write about genderqueer people? How do I write about people of color? How do I write about women? And it's like, I can't just say, well, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put them in my books. Like, I think that's a cop-out, So it's an opportunity for me to explore how I can represent different people better and understand them better. I think that's all for channel updates. Oh, yes, one more channel update. So.
You nearly forgot the best thing.
What's the best thing?
The Book Gal's coming back.
Oh my gosh! I actually did straight up forget. I'm sorry. Look, it was one of the questions in the Q&A section.
Right. So thank you everybody who did watch and leave comments on the first Book Gal video that I did discussing the Bergman Brothers series. If you did read it because of the review, I'd love to know what you thought. I haven't done any more reviews for romance or any other books on this channel simply because he's been too busy and it requires a lot more of his time to do the editing and reviewing my scripts and things while we're working out the dynamic of basically how that's going to work.
Yeah, if I can use the word coaching.
Yeah, coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, because YouTube is not the platform that I am used to working with.
Even though she's clearly a natural, right?
So... immediately does the most cringe thing.
You didn't do finger guns. I was expecting finger... Oh, okay. That's on me.
But we have had a couple of people asking in recent updates whether or not the Book Gal is going to be coming back. And yes, I will be.
Yes.
Probably early next year. And I am intending on coming up with maybe 3 series to get you guys to vote and let me know which one you want me to talk about, whether you'd like something that's got more representation in it, like the Bergman Brothers does, something that has been super popular and you want to know if it's worth it, or potentially something that's more on like the erotica scale of the romance genre. Because if people are interested in that, I'm happy to review some of those too.
That's a really good point, because one of the reasons we want to do Book Gal videos is to legitimize the romance genre and let people know it's okay to read romance. Anything that's getting new reading is doing a good thing, and romance has a lot of good things going for it. And I was like, hey, what about the more smutty leaning romance stuff? Do we want to cover that on the channel? Because I'm comfortable with it, but it's like, would you guys watch it? Do you guys actually want to talk about?
Is it something you're curious about?
Sorry.
Is it something you're curious about? There's probably a couple of series floating around that you've seen that you're not sure about the content levels and if it's something that you do want to try or not. So I'm happy to do reviews on that if that's what people are interested in watching.
That's exactly right. And you know how you get a fantasy book that will have a romance subplot, or like romantasy is a common thing. Fantasy and sci-fi blend really well with other genres. And there's a lot of erotic books that have really well fleshed out fantasy world building.
Y'all.
And it's like, you shouldn't be that skilled in two different areas, you know, but it's quite impressive what's out there. Go on.
This is the year that I discovered sci-fi romance, and it has changed my life. And yours, not necessarily for the better. But as somebody who grew up absolutely adoring Doctor Who, Stargate SG-1, Star Trek Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, like I have always adored sci-fi. Firefly, like it's been one of the great loves of my life, and realizing that it actually intersects with the romance genre and that there's, you know, quite a substantial amount of sci-fi romance. It, like, if you have any sci-fi romance recs, please leave them in the comments for me, and hopefully that might be some series in that I can share at some point as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sorry for the eye roll. You know?
It's not because he's invalidating me, it's because he's heard a lot about them.
That's exactly what it is. Yes, because like I do say, like I want to encourage people to read whatever you like.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna yuck someone's yum, as they say. You know, if you say, hey, I do want to read some sci-fi smut, I'm like, good for you. Genuinely, do that.
Yeah. And then tell me about it.
Don't tell me about it.
So we can be friends.
There is one other update I want to cover. So going forward with my writing, I do have a rough plan that I'll try to start writing one book a year. You know, I think that's something that's really doable. And I'd love to have book 4 of the Immortal Investigations out by this time next year. But at the same time, something I've learned from this year is that my work-life balance was not good. And I don't like it. Besides, I've suffered burnout in the past, and I don't want to do that again. I never want to glorify overworking. I don't think that's what humans are made for. But, so I will sort of have a rough goal of working on book 4 going forward. We'll see if it ends up coming out next year, and we'll figure it out. My big goal for 2025 is to have a healthier work-life balance sort of thing. One other thing I do want to mention is I've said in the past that I would love to write 12 books in the Immortal Investigations. And now that people have actually supported this Kickstarter and it's gone really well, it's kind of made me realize that, holy crap, this could work. I actually can do 12 books. I can start planning for it because people have shown up for it, you know? And just in the last month or so since the Kickstarter's wrapped up and it's gone really well, my creative brain has just had a burst of energy, and I'm suddenly finding myself planning these 12 books. And I'm just alive with excitement. So I really am at a point where I'm ready to commit to it. 12 books, man. 12 books. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do the whole thing. Yeah.
Good, because I want covers for 12 books. And then we can do a glorious, special edition box set of all 12.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through a Q&A section. So you guys, a bunch of you wrote some questions on a post I did on my YouTube wall. So Avid Reader posted the question, what series do you think has the best chance of ever being finished?
I love this question.
I know, right? So it's a Song of Ice and Fire, the Kingkiller Chronicles, or the Gentleman's Bastards. And which of the three would you most like to see finished and why? Well, look, obviously for me, I think I would most like to see Song of Ice and Fire finished, by far. Because I think Song of Ice and Fire has achieved more for the fantasy industry than the other two, because it's become such a household name. So I think the other three series, all three of those series are popular in BookTube, but Game of Thrones is popular outside of books. It's just everyone knows it as a fantasy icon. So I would love to see it concluded, and hopefully concluded better than the TV series did. But as for which one I think is more likely to be finished, that's a really tough one, and I honestly don't know. I think Game of Thrones. I think Song of Ice and Fire would be most likely to be finished because George is actually working on it. Where for the other two guys, we haven't seen any proof. We have the whole debacle with Patrick Rothfuss and the missing chapter. We've had nothing from Scott Lynch in a while. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful they surprise us. I'd like to think that the Kingkiller Chronicles is more likely to be finished because we're only waiting on one book. But I don't know.
And he's younger?
Yeah, they're all younger than George. George is in his 70s, which is also, you don't want to think about that. But anyway, but that'd be my guess on both of those things. Game of Thrones, yeah. Ryan SPK has written that Sanderson's Cosmere is vast. What are your personal favorite stories within it?
That is a great question.
Excellent question. Personal favorite. Good gracious me. You got an expression that says, "I know what your answer is already." Because you do read my mind sometimes.
I think there's a lot of them that you like for different reasons.
It's true. It is a diverse.
I genuinely think Elantris has a bit of a special place in your heart.
Oh,
because it's underrated and you really enjoyed it.
Look, I just like arguing with people who say that Elantris sucks.
Okay, no, that's what it is. Yeah.
No, in many ways, the first Mistborn book is precious to me. Is out of the camera shot. The very first Mistborn book, it was originally called Final Empire. Now it's just sort of rebranded as just Mistborn Book 1. But that book is kind of... It's all the best of Sanderson wrapped up into one book. He had his shot. Elantris had been published. They're like, what else can you do? And he's like, I'm going to publish one book to sort of prove that I know what I'm doing. And he wrote Mistborn. And I think it really is the perfect balance of all the things that come. It's still rough in a few places. But that one really, it was the first Sanderson book I read, outside of his Wheel of Time books, and really got me excited about reading again. So it's always been a big impact. That said, if I had to pick a favorite, in many ways, I think Oathbringer, the Stormlight Archive Oathbringer, is his best book.
Is that the one that made you cry?
Look, they all made me cry. That doesn't narrow it down. Rhythm of War messed me up. Kaladin's vows. No, not vows. Vows. Oaths. Damn it. His oaths really hit me deeply. And that came at a time of grief in my personal life in 2020. And it really healed me. And was a big part of a personal emotional journey. But even then, I think Oathbringer is his best book. Even if Rhythm of War was the one that affected me personally the most. But that's as personal as I'm willing to get. Let's keep. Oh, do you have a personal book?
Well, no, I'm curious to know what you think is the most underrated book of Sanderson's. Not even just Cosmere, but all of his works. Because I know you think not enough people have read Alcatraz, and that is something that has a video that will be coming in middle grade March.
Alcatraz is massively underrated. I think out of all of his books, Sanderson's got a bunch of standalone stuff. Weird experimental novels, like The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds and the Reckoners trilogy. What else is up there? Oh, The Arithmetist. That's another one, yeah. But I think a lot of his standalone, smaller books, they are very experimental. That's him flexing his creative muscles, so he doesn't necessarily write his best work so much as it is just keep things fresh for him, But if we're talking about good work of his that's underrated, Alcatraz, definitely. Because I think it's very much like Discworld, and it's very good middle grade books, and I think more people should read books like that. Yeah. Everyone should read Discworld, is my point.
Yeah, if you've got a kid who's reading middle grade books and you're looking for Christmas gifts for them or books to read with them over the holidays or whatever, get them a couple of Alcatraz books. Start with that. Because you'll both enjoy it.
Okay, Raphael Sousa, 2633, has written, what's your favorite book? That's kind of a tough one.
Is that to both of us, or?
Well, look, I think that was
the next one's to both of us.
Okay. Yeah. You're not a part of this. Sorry. I didn't like that one, though.
Stop trying to cut me out.
My favorite book. Oh, look, in many ways, Wheel of Time, A Memory of Light is one of my favorite books. Because that came out in January 2013, and that was when Kit and I had first met and were starting to talk.
It's when I was Facebook stalking him.
In those good times.
And he posted a photo of him at the bookstore holding the book because he'd
on the launch day.
On the launch day, because he'd worked at the lettuce farm from 6 a.m.
Why don't you bring up the lettuce farm?
Run into the bookstore to get the book, and then did this post about how he'd waited a decade for this book.
Pretty much,
and I thought, I'm going to marry this guy.
Yeah, I was a bit intense, wasn't I? Yeah. Well, at least you knew what you were getting in for, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Memory of Light. Because we didn't think it was coming out. Like, I was there, Gandalf. I was there 12 years ago. When Robert Jordan died, we thought that's it. The series is done, And even then, when Brandon Sanderson did show up, he wrote, Gathering Storm and Towers of Midnight. But then it was a longer gap than normal for the final book. Because he wanted to get it perfect. Because it was the final book. And he wanted to wrap up every plotline. We thought it wasn't coming. So, anyway. I think when I got that book, I read it for like 50 hours straight, man. I entered this weird, Twilight Zone where time didn't exist. I'm going to enter that same zone again for Wind and Truth.
We're going to have like snacks ready and therapy appointments pre-booked.
So a question for both of us. Kit, will the Book Gal ever make another video? I think we
keep doing finger guns. It's going to be my thing now.
Like it wasn't before. I think we've kind of answered that with the Book Gal thing.
Book Gal's coming back. But yeah, thank you so much everyone who has asked about it.
Thank you.
Even though of the videos on your channel, it's one of the lower viewed ones, because obviously not everyone's into romance, that's fine. The quality of the comments on that video were fantastic. It's got like over 100 comments.
You guys were so classy.
Yeah,
Thank
you were super classy. And we had some really good discussions about pros and cons of the genre and stuff. And I really appreciate everybody who commented on that. It was a great time.
Question for me. Michael, you give us so many fantastic book recommendations. So to change it up, are there any underseen movies or shows you'd recommend as well? Ooh, that's interesting.
Don't ask him about the Iron Giant. Triggered.
The thing about the Iron Giant that people don't realize is that it was at the time when studios were trying to phase out 2D animation and replace it with computer animation because they thought that more people could do computer animation for cheap. It's once again capitalist productivity and financial goals and business suits corrupted the art. So they deliberately sabotaged the Iron Giant and made a trailer that revealed every single major plot point of the movie in the trailer so no one would go and see it. It has nearly 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a damn near perfect film.
I just wanted you all to experience that because I hear it on like at least every couple of months.
But you know what you do, right? Kit will be like, oh, it wasn't that good. I watched it, I didn't like it. I'm like, you know what you're doing.
But also it's got the voice acting of John Mahoney, who we love.
Yeah, it's John Mahoney who played Frasier's dad in Frasier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a general.
Yeah, and he's great.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Stop.
Anyway, sorry for triggering you for my entertainment.
Underseen movies, I would also add Treasure Planet. Went through a same thing, was also sabotaged by the studio to phase out 2D animation. I know it's a little tinfoil hatty, but it's a thing.
Also, Dinotopia. We were talking about Dinotopia recently.
Yeah.
We need to have like a pizza and movie night where we just like binge it because I used to do that with my siblings.
Do you say Stoner Night?
Can you imagine watching dinosaurs on the screen?
Oh my gosh, it's like, it's coming out of the screen, man.
But no.
Well, this is the funny thing. I really am the book guy because I don't watch that much TV and TV shows. And it's terrible. I've got lists on, my Netflix list, my Prime list and stuff like that of shows I want to watch. And I'll get to them, but I'm very slow. It's because I just enjoy books more. And I don't like saying it because it sounds like it sounds so elitist. It sounds like I'm going to judge everyone who watches shows, but I just don't. But if we're going to talk about underrated shows, Star Trek is underrated, especially Deep Space Nine, which is the best of the Star Treks.
Don't come at me telling me that it's a different series that's the best. It's Deep Space Nine. This is not open for discussion.
Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine, absolutely. I will say, so like if you've never watched Star Trek before, I'll just warn you, every single Star Trek show, except maybe the original one, their first season is always their worst. Every single time, okay? The first one's always the roughest. Deep Space Nine had a pretty good first season, but it's still significantly rougher than the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And even then, I really think it was season 3 where they came into their own.
Well, that's when Worf shows up.
No, he comes up in season 4.
Okay.
3 is when they introduce the Dominion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Dominion are the best villains in the Star Trek franchise.
And if you've got any knowledge of like World War II history as well,
my goodness.
it's like it's basically post World War II in space.
Yeah.
And it's so clever. The writing is phenomenal. and just everybody should watch it. That being said, I know that I went hard on It Is the Best. I will say we have loved Lower Decks, and that has a very special place in my heart.
Lower Decks.
If you are a Star Trek fan, and I've been a lifelong Star Trek fan, I've been watching it with my parents for as long as I could remember. It's the amount of fan service in it that pays off is just so beautiful and really lovely.
If you could live in one book land / universe, not your own, where would it be? And that's interesting because I think, not your own. I technically do live in my own universe, not as a writer, but because the urban fantasy in the Immortal Investigation is Earth, and it's meant to be Earth.
And vampires do exist.
And it reuses real-world history. Wait, what? No, if I could live in any land, it would be the Shire. Because I think most lands and books are dystopian. There's always some war going on. In the Shire, it's usually peaceful. Specifically, if I could live in the Shire during the reign of King Elisar II, right?
Sorry.
That's verbatim how it goes, with the laughing too and everything. Shire, that's the way to go. But no, we've been to the Shire in Hobbiton.
Twice.
Yeah. Once on our honeymoon. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on a family holiday, which was less good. No, the second time we went, it was a really busy day, so we had to get through super quickly. The first time, I think we were there middle of the week when it was not peak season or anything, and we got to have a lot more time with the tour guide. And it's just it's walking around inside the most detailed movie set ever. It's so much fun. This is not sponsored by Hobbiton, but if they want to reach out to sponsor us, we are very much on board. Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention they actually hire several gardeners to make it all look lived in, so there are actual crops.
Yeah, they
growing
actually
in Hobbiton.
harvest.
Yeah.
There's proper fruit and veg being grown that they harvest.
The authenticity is incredible.
Oh,
so good.
It's really lovely. And I would agree. I would choose something that's a cozy fantasy, maybe Legends and Lattes kind of vibes. Because everywhere else, I'm just Prithian sounds cool, but also I would die.
Prithia?
So, from A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Not Roshar? We read different books.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't even remember the name of the land in Throne of Glass, but people always, say they want to go live in these things or be dragon riders or whatever, and I'm just I know myself and I couldn't handle that. Even if I lived in a fantasy world, I would stay at home and read books about this world. So, really, anywhere with libraries. That's my final answer.
Nice. All right, and one final question is, if you could sit down with any author, alive or past, for a conversation, who would it be, and what is the most important thing you would ask them? But no, if I could sit down with one author, it'd be Brandon Sanderson. Now, the thing is, Brandon has put so much information out there already. He's done his creative writing lectures. He's got a YouTube channel. He puts a lot of writing advice out there. But the thing I'd really want to talk to him about would be work-life balance. Because I think that's genuinely one of the most incredible accomplishments he's got, is that he writes so much, and his personal life doesn't seem to get in the way, but he also still is when he's on camera with his family, they're all happy, they like each other. His children talk to him, which is kind of a big deal.
I was just going to say, well, we're happy on camera, but I'm wait, we are also happy off camera. To be clear.
Oh, no, we're not always happy on camera. You did interrupt me.
I'm sorry.
No, that was the point.
I know. I think that's going to be a really interesting question, because obviously he's got an assistant now and a whole production company and everything. And I'd be so interested to know what did it look like in the earlier days. Yeah. And I mean, obviously it would be awesome if you got to that point of being able to have that being able to write full time, but what's that going to look like in terms of how you live your life and manage your time.
Yeah. Look, I don't ever want to be so big that I have my own convention like Dragonsteel.
Yeah, we'd settle for just being invited to Dragonsteel. Also putting that out there.
Like The Secret to the universe.
I'm sure if somebody's watching who would like the book guy to come host a panel, that's the thing that he does now.
Oh, that is true. I have hosted panels now as the book guy. That's pretty cool. Anyway,
so Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon said that's the answer. And I think that's all we've got, actually. That's all of our questions. That's exciting. Look, let's wrap it up there, because I think we've chatted for a while. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for this lovely little chat. Thank Kit for helping out and talking about the Kickstarter, because she knew a lot more about the Kickstarter than I did and was very much the brains behind the production, the organization, the management.
Yep.
Very much creative genius type.
You will continue to see updates on the Kickstarter at least monthly. I'll be jumping on there to let everybody know where each of the production items is up to, because we want to be super transparent with the timeline and where everything's going. If you have any questions about the Kickstarter, you can always comment on a video or comment on the Kickstarter or message me through there as well, and I will get back to you. And yeah, I think that's all as far as that goes. But yeah, you'll continue to hear from me through the Kickstarter, the official Kickstarter updates on the site about where things are up to.
Excellent. And of course, I've got a couple more videos coming this year, but then January onwards, we'll be back to weekly videos, and you should have my books in your hands. Not to mention, we'll have those audiobooks going into production. So lots of good things still to come around here. Lots of good books to be recommended. Yes.
I just want to say a special thank you to the patrons who have been really patient, because you haven't been getting as much content recently because he has been so busy editing and writing and working, but we appreciate you so much, and there is a little bit something special coming for you in the next few weeks. That's happening.
It should be days. Yes, but yes, no, my poor patrons have been neglected. I have massively fallen behind on keeping up with Patreon content, which is what it's sort of the arrangement. And I know, everyone's nice about it. No one minds too much, but it's just, I do appreciate you guys, especially the fact that I've been so busy getting these books ready for publication. But we're going to get back on top of that one as well in the coming weeks. So that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's wrap it up there. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we love you all, and we hope you enjoy a good book today. Bye.
Finger guns.
Can't take you anywhere. That's it. Cut it. Cut it.
Is it okay if I look at you when you're speaking?
Yeah, but
adoringly?
Feel free to look slightly side-eyed. It's more camera friendly, So Kit, in human world, we look like this. In TV world, actors always look like this.
It's like I'm doing right now.
It's all right. It'll do. Okay, let's start the video.
Oh, this bird's poorly. All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. What am I going to say? I didn't prepare any notes. Okay.
This is what happens when there's no script.
I know, right? Okay.
Hey, you haven't complimented me on my dress yet.
Oh, I haven't. It's really pretty.
Thanks. It has pockets for snacks.
That's great, honey. I'm really happy for you.
Thanks. Your response was underwhelming. People are going to think I just carry croissants with me everywhere, and it's not a big deal.
You don't? It's been 10 years of putting up with this. I am so familiar.
I'm going to put it away now.
That was it.